close, double the deals of the average wholesaler because they're only looking at what can I wholesale for.
Right.
There's only one tool in their toolbox.
Yep. Welcome, everybody, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, America's #1 podcast for new real estate investors, where we know that finding discounted properties is the most proven path to financial freedom. I am your host, Brent Daniels, and I am telling you, if I can do it, so can you. So let's get started. We are here with a classic story. We're coming full circle in the progression, the unbelievable progression of starting out as a real estate agent, then becoming a wholesaler, and now has become the bank.
Yes.
We're talking from Miami, Florida, Mr. Jory Alston. How are you?
Doing good, Brent. How you
Good.
doing?
I'm excited to have you here.
Happy to be here, man. Definitely.
So tell me, so you started out your real estate journey in 2007?
Yeah, I got my license in 2007 in Michigan.
Okay.
I got into real estate to get my license to, do flips and not have to pay commissions. We all want to be able to do that without paying commissions. So I got it in 2007. A year later, the market crashed. Right. I was lucky to be working with a REO broker, a real estate owned broker, so foreclosure broker. Right.
Yep.
So the market crashed, and I was actually working for the #1 real estate owned REO broker in Michigan. Right. So I became his buyer's agent.
Yep.
So I started selling 100, 150 homes a year foreclosures to investors. So
Yeah.
I did that from 2007 to 2014.
I did the exact same thing. I'm not joking with you. I joined the #1 real estate, the REO team in 2010 and 11. All I did was running around all the time with all these buyers, right? Trying to put together these little tiny deals because they were all foreclosures.
Yeah, the commissions were $1,000,
Yeah.
$1,500. We had to sell a lot of them to make any money. Yep.
So is it is it a family thing? Was your family in real estate? Did you read a book? Did you see something on late night TV? What brought you into, I want to flip houses, so I'll get my license? You know what I mean? What's your origin story?
Got it. So I was living in, none of my family was in real estate, right?
Yeah.
I was living in Miami, 04, 05. And I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad,
Yep.
right? And it sparked my mind to want to get into real estate. And I just started reading books on real estate, for 2 years straight. Just read. Because I knew I wanted to get into real estate as an investor, right? My dad, my real dad, who I didn't even know that well, he was in real estate in 03, 04 in DC doing condo conversions.
Okay.
So he actually was talking to me about this. We actually just started talking in 2003. I was 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
And he actually started talking to me about real estate, and it I think him saying it to me
Yeah.
sparked it into my mind, right? So I just kind of went off and took off on that path. And then me and my wife got married, moved to Michigan, and I studied for 2 years in Michigan until I got my real estate license.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then you go real estate agent, real estate. How do you find the beautiful world of wholesaling real estate, right? Because there are agents, and I'm not joking, there are agents that I talk to that have been in the business 20, 25, 30 years, 5 years, 10 years, have no idea what wholesale real estate is.
They have no clue. They're also the hardest people to work with because you talk to them, they're like, what are you doing? This is illegal.
Yeah.
So I started wholesaling by necessity, right? So again, I was selling the REO properties, right? So that was good. 2012 hit, 11, 12 hit, the hedge funds started buying all the properties, right? So I couldn't even get my local investors anything because this hedge fund from somewhere else would bid it up 10, 15 grand.
Same thing.
Nobody local would buy that stuff, right? So the hedge funds started buying everything. So my money just dried up. So I literally had to start finding deals off market by necessity to keep making my income. And actually, the first time I wholesaled, it was kind of by accident. One of the investors I worked with was like, hey, any deal you find, you bring it to me first, I'll give you $5,000 on top of your commission. Right? So I basically was wholesaling, getting an assignment fee to bring him these deals first.
Yeah.
And then after I was doing that for a little while, I had to find off-market deals because, 2013, 14, the market just dried up. The banks dried up. So you couldn't get a loan for a home. The banks were done. They wouldn't loan you any credit. So I started doing wholesaling for land contracts because that was the best way to find deals was do seller financing.
Right.
Yeah.
So explain that. What is a land contract?
So a land contract is where, let's say I have a house and I sell it to you.
Yep.
Land contract or contract for deed means the same exact thing. I sell you the house, let's say $50,000. You give me $5,000 down.
Okay.
And I say, pay me $500 for 10 years.
Got it.
10% interest. So that's when I became the bank. I realized how you can become the bank. It's like a rental.
So do you have to own these free and clear?
Well, if you do it free and clear,
Yeah.
or you can do it sub 2. Right?
Okay.
You can do it sub 2. You can buy a house sub 2.
Yeah.
And it's actually the way that we actually do seller financing with sub 2 is we sell it on land contract because the deed doesn't transfer until it's paid off.
Okay.
Which is the difference. If you
So
buy
let's
a house,
let's take it one step at a time. You have a distressed property owner,
Yeah.
right? You approach them, and is it because they don't have enough equity, or they just want more for the property? Like, why don't you just give them a cash contract and just wholesale it?
Got it. So it doesn't matter what kind of seller I have. Right?
Okay.
Free and clear.
Yep.
No equity. It doesn't matter. I ask every seller if they are open to seller financing.
Okay.
Right? Because that allows me to buy more deals without using my cash that I have on the side to use, right?
Sure.
If I can get a seller to sell me their house for $5,000 down, right, instead of paying them $50,000, I'm going to take that. So every seller I talk to, I ask that question, right? It's just a numbers game.
So what do you specifically? What do you ask them?
So
I mean, everybody's wondering. What's the secret combination of words?
So first thing, there's keywords where you'll know if the seller wants to sell.
Okay.
On seller financing,
Yeah.
right? So if you hear them say, "I'm tired of tenants,"
Yep.
right? Not cash flow, but tenants, right? Too many repairs, or a big one is, I'm going to sell a couple homes a year because I don't want to pay a lot of taxes.
Right.
Those are keywords to me that say, oh, this is perfect for seller financing because I can offer them a way to still get monthly cash flow, right? To not have to pay a huge tax bill,
Yep.
right? Where they can still get the cash flow but not actually manage the property.
Right.
So a lot of sellers who investors love getting cash flow, they just don't know how to manage the property.
Yep.
Right. So if I hear those keywords, my next question will be, well, hey, what if I show you a way that you can get, some monthly income still, but we'll actually own and manage the property, or just become the bank, right? And then that'll spark, I can be the bank.
Everybody loves that.
Yeah, so
being the bank. That's like,
well, to me, and I have a podcast, Shut Up and Invest. We just did an episode a few weeks ago. I think new investors
incredible podcast. Shut Up and Invest.
Yes.
Guys, definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
if you're feeling this, if you're like getting jazzed, if you're really loving what Joy's saying, yeah.
So I actually did an episode a few weeks ago where I said I think new investors should invest in seller finance notes before rentals.
Okay.
Because what's the main thing you hear with a new investor? He buys a duplex or a single family house. He thinks he's getting $250 a month of cash flow. The furnace goes out, right?
Yep.
Then a leaky faucet, right? At the end of the year, he made zero or negative cash flow.
Right.
Right. And then he doesn't have enough reserves on the side to manage the property. Ends up losing the property.
Yep.
Sells it for cheap. Never wants to do it again.
Right.
When you're in the bank, I get that same cash flow without any worries of fixing anything, right? Paying, I don't pay the insurance.
Yep.
I don't pay the taxes. That homeowner I sell the house to handles all that. I'm just like Chase. I get principal and interest per month. You never call Chase or Wells Fargo to fix your roof.
Right.
You don't even know who they are. So
right.
I think new investors should actually look into notes first because I think it can help them last longer in the game.
Okay, so let's break it down simply then. We have a distressed property owner.
Yep.
You go that for whatever reason they've raised their hands through some lead generation. You've either called them, texted them, mail them. What's your preferred like?
We do text and direct mail.
Okay, so you get these calls coming in. They say they want to sell. You start pre-qualifying them a little bit, and you ask them if they'd be open to seller financing. And if they are, but it's still a smoking wholesale deal, what do you do?
So last 2 years ago, I would have wholesaled that deal.
Right.
Right. I was wholesaling everything.
Right.
About last year, I changed my model to now I probably wholesale 20% of what I get.
Okay.
We keep 80%.
Incredible.
And wholesale 20%. Right. And so like, if it's just a smoking deal, like we just had one house need a lot of work to it. Right. If it needs a lot of work, then I'll try to wholesale it first.
Right.
Right. But I do seller finance my homes. I sell my homes on land contract. I do need work because everything I sell on land contract is as is.
Right.
We don't touch them.
Right.
But so like nowadays, it's like if that deal is like smoking, needs a lot of work, I'll probably wholesale it off because I have to still wholesale a couple homes a month to keep the
monthly
income coming in.
Right.
So, but
what's your average wholesale deal that you make?
About $8 grand.
$8,000.
Yeah.
So you do a couple of them. You're at $16,000 a month. You could live
I do,
really well.
I do a couple
that.
of those per month, and then I get the down payments from when we sell the land contract.
Yeah.
That's income. That's not a security deposit. So that's income that comes into
Okay, so
our account.
we got a distressed property. They say yes, they'd be open to seller financing. You go, you put it down a deposit, and you give them monthly amounts,
Yes.
right? And now you own it, but the note, they hold the note, or it's a subject to situation, okay? If you're listening or watching it, or if you want to watch this, definitely check it out on Brent Daniels' real estate YouTube channel, and put a face with a voice. But you've got this property, they're ready, you own it now, but it needs repairs. It needs utilities on. It needs all these things. What do you do?
So every house that I get, I look at like 3 ways, right? So let's say I get the house on the seller financing terms. I can then wholesale that, right? You can wholesale seller financing terms. Let's say they said, Jory, you can get it for $5,000 down, right? The same $50,000 house at 0% interest. I just got one last week at 0% interest.
Pace does them all the time.
Pace does 0% interest, right? I actually wholesaled that to another buyer for $75,000, $10,000 down.
Love it.
10% interest.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So, I wrapped it to another buyer, right? I stayed in the middle of that part, right? Or I can wholesale it to you and say, hey, here's the terms, right? You pay me a $5,000 assignment fee, you get the property.
Yep.
Right. So, if it needs a lot of work, I'll either sell it to an investor.
Yep.
On seller financing, where I'll actually be the bank.
Yep.
Or I'll just wholesale it to another investor, get a fee.
Got it.
Right. But half of the homes that we sell on seller financing are to other investors, right? So these are homes in neighborhoods where like the banks are, banks don't loan under $50,000.
Right.
Right. They don't, conventional financing doesn't cover, some houses and some kind of repair. Also, investors can only do so many conventional deals, right?
Yep.
So a lot of our deals, we actually are the bank to other investors, right? We use our skills to tie it up, and then we sell it to them with seller financing terms, right? In like 10, 15-year terms and get all that cash flow.
As long as the numbers work out.
Yes.
Now remember, every negotiation that you get in comes down to really 3 things, right? It comes down to price, terms, and you. Right, right. I mean, it really is. Whether or not they trust you to get it done, but you can go in. Literally every house can be a deal.
Yeah.
If it's either price or terms. I mean, if somebody wants $1 million for their $100,000 house, you can do it. If it's the right terms, if it's a 1,000-year loan at dollars, a few $100s a month or something. But I mean, you can really expand and really get. You could really do some exciting things with the terms, which it sounds like you're doing.
That's the key that you're saying. Terms, like people look at price first always. Yep. Terms is more important than price to me. Yeah. Right? Because like the price, they might be stuck on a price that makes no sense for a wholesale deal. But if I can create a note with that, it makes sense for me, right? So when you're doing some kind of creative financing, we probably close, double the deals of the average wholesaler because they're only looking at what can I wholesale it for, right? There's only one tool in their toolbox.
Yep. Yeah, and that's literally how I run my business is one tool in the toolbox. No, it really is. That's why I love having these conversations and really trying to break it down not only for the audience but for myself as well, because I think that it's a powerful way to build wealth, first of all. And I think being the bank is the preferred position of really wealthy people. You know what I mean? Yes. Really individually wealthy people become the bank and just understand that interest that you get year after year without the hassle, the return is so high without all of the risk and all of the hassle, really. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to because you've got 5 kids. You're
kids.
A football coach all fall for high school. I mean, you've got a full life. If you have 25 notes that you own that's paying you now as opposed to 25 renters that could call you at a moment's notice and tell you things are wrong with the plumbing or the roof or the windows or the landscaping or you're getting, code violations because somebody's not doing things quick enough, right?
Yeah.
And it gives you such an advantage to really live the life that you want because you're the bank.
Definitely. Remember,
interest works 24/7.
I live in Miami.
Right.
And my homes are not even in Miami. My homes are mostly in the Midwest. So when you're the bank, let's say, a lot of guys are in areas where, like they say, the market's too high to wholesale or it's too high to buy rentals, right? Like, let's say California.
Yeah.
Well, you could be in California and have notes across the country, right, without having to worry about a management company. Now, the risk is if they don't pay, you have to foreclose, get the house back, right? But you just do it all over again.
Right.
And that's a risk, but you're not worried about, those phone calls and everything else. You can manage notes. You can hire a servicing company and pay them $15 a month per note.
Yeah.
To service your notes for you.
I know.
So
we've got the distressed property. We've got the terms. You now own it. Now, what do you do? Now, you're going to sell this to somebody else.
Yes.
You're going to sell it to somebody that wants to live there?
It
Or an investor or
depends.
whatever.
Or
Okay.
Yep. So if I get the house now, of course, every house we get, we don't get on seller financing terms, right? So we either use seller financing terms or we use private money. Like we raise a lot of private money with private investors. So
okay.
Like the guy who has $250 in a 401k.
Yep.
Or the lady who has like 50 grand in an account. We tell them how they can get interest on their money, more they can get in the stock market, and definitely more they can get in the bank because the bank pays 0 interest right now if they loan it to us. And then we show them our whole model. We say, hey, you loan us, for 10% interest. We go and buy these homes, and then we sell them.
Yeah, sorry.
we sell them with seller financing.
Yeah.
To our end buyers.
Yeah, got it. And so they come in. So you're either buying. So how do the numbers work out? I mean, you obviously have to. There has to be some formula or equation that says, okay, this is what I can give the seller. This is what I have to pay my investor. This is what I can get from a seller, like seller forward or tenant buyer.
Yep.
Yeah. Right? And you just make sure that that's all in line. And then what do you average per property on cash flow to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Is there minimums?
We try to be $200 per property, right?
Awesome.
And I'll say right now, our cash flow is like, most of it's around $200 because we're trying to pay down our debt, right? If I get a house with my private investors funds is 5 years to pay back him, and I sell it to you on a 30-year term, I'm paying that debt off in 5 years, so I have 25 years of free and clear cash flow. So, I'm looking down the future right now. I'm trying to build, a portfolio of notes that are going to be free and clear cash flow in 30, 40, 50 years down the road.
And you still do you do that with if it's owner financing as well?
Do I do the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to get rid of that owner financing as quick as
I
possible.
can. Yeah, last year we had 2 homes that we bought in owner financing, and we actually were negative cash. We bought 2 from one lady. We were like negative $80 a month. But we paid them off in a year.
Wow.
So now they're free and clear.
And now you've got somebody paying you on a 30-year mortgage, and you've owned and
we paid off in 1 year.
It's all done. Oh.
Yep.
So how much cash flow does that end up happening? Is that like?
So those 2 properties are actually 2 that we kept as rentals.
Yeah.
Right. So our cash flow right now on those is the average is about $1,000 a month.
Awesome.
After we pay our taxes.
And is that your main goal? Is passive cash flow the name of the game? I mean, is this like Robert Kiyosaki? We're sitting there playing the cash flow game, trying to get all of our passive to cover the expenses.
Cash flow is the game because remember I was a realtor, a buyer's agent, so I know how much you have to go out there and hustle every day to get commissions. Even when you wholesale, you can be wholesaling the machine going like our machine's going on full tilt. We're getting calls coming in from direct mail or texting. The calls come in totally all the time. But wholesaling still is a hustle, right? Like you got to go out there and keep doing it. So I guess I got 5 kids. I coach football. I got a beautiful wife. I want to be able to just in a few years be able to relax. The cash was coming in.
Yep.
And wholesale when I want to, but I have to wholesale to pay all the bills.
Right.
So that's my goal right now is cash flow.
And how many markets are you in?
So we're in Michigan. So West Michigan. We're in Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Philly. We just picked a house up in Baltimore, right? We're in Florida. But any market in America, if the numbers make sense, right? We'll look at the deal.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a deal in Kansas City right now. I'm looking at one in Ohio right now. There's a lot of people who come to us and say, hey, I have a deal. Can you help me structure this on seller financing terms, right? And I'll tell them how to structure it with the seller, how to structure it for a buyer, and then we'll buy the deal from them, right? We'll pay them. They'll wholesale us the deal.
Yeah.
And we'll buy it from them.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, but we're probably like in 4 or 5.
How do you manage it? I mean, what does your company look like? Is it just you? Is it you and?
No, it's not me. So my main 2 markets are Michigan and Pennsylvania, right? So I have a partner in Michigan.
Okay.
And I have a partner in Michigan where we do the stuff, 50-50, right? Then I have 2 other partners in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And then we split it up like that. So my whole thing is, I'm in Miami. I know I still answer a lot of phone calls. I still negotiate with the sellers, right? I don't talk to the seller until we've seen the appointment already has been set.
Yep.
The pics are in. Then I'll call the seller and negotiate the deal. Right? So I have 3 or 4 guys that text for me, and they're actually like my football players.
Right.
So like my football players who graduated high school, they can use batch lead stacker, right? They go in there, they text. It's not hard for them to do. They text me full time all the time. Then I have a marketing guy that does all our marketing, right? I'm usually the one closing the deal as far as negotiation.
Yep.
Then I have a partner who's boots on the ground in each market.
Awesome.
So it's a small company. It's about, between both markets, probably about 7 people.
Right.
I like to be lean, but,
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Well, and I think that, when you're being the bank, when you're going after that, and I think what's important here is, yes, this is the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Yes, we talk about wholesaling, but all wholesaling is sourcing real estate opportunities. Yes. Throw the word wholesaling away, guys. This is about sourcing opportunities. And what Jory's talking about is it's not all about just doing cash deals.
Yes.
Right?
It all starts with wholesaling, right? People say, how do I get my leads? I market like I'm marketing for wholesale deals.
Yeah. Right.
There's a couple niche lists that I do to find these seller finance buyers. Like, there's a list like the tire landlord list, right?
Yep.
That Batch has.
Yep.
I've been hitting that list up for years because you find an investor who bought a house, let's say in the 80s,
yep.
right? He knows or she knows seller financing.
Yep.
Interest rates were like 18%, 20% in the early 80s, right? They were buying homes on terms. Mm-hmm. A lot of them right now might own 5 or 10 homes where like they still want that cash flow, but they're just tired of being a landlord.
Of course.
Those are if you hit that list hard, you're going to find a lot of seller finance deals in that list because those people are open to selling you the house on seller financing terms.
And by the way, you mentioned you can also, if you need the income, if you're, a lot of people are starting this out, they have a 9-to-5 job, or they're in the military, or they're nurses, or they're fire people, or they're police officers, they're doing all these other jobs, right? And they want to replace their income, so they need that income. You can still lock up these opportunities, put it in a nice little package, and wholesale that to a buy and hold investor.
Yes,
you can. I mean, you could put all that in without putting any money in. You can have it all structured and looking pretty, and boom. And I assume that's what your podcast helps people kind of walk through,
so
right?
our podcast, we talk a lot about wholesaling.
Yeah.
Because I still wholesale.
Yeah.
It's just not my number one
Sure.
option, right?
Yeah,
I still wholesale a lot of houses, right?
You have finance the block on your shirt. I mean, that's your right. I mean,
this is what
it's not wholesale the block.
No,
right.
It's finance the block.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do talk, like we talk about the wholesaling part in our podcast, but we also talk about be your own bank.
Yeah.
Right. We're like we make a mission to try to show people how you can like invest in homes with zero money out of your pocket and create cash.
This is anybody.
Anybody, right?
Anybody.
Because think about it. These homes that I'm getting that I'm selling sort of financing, I'm wholesaling it and being the bank in one deal because that down payment is still income, right? So let's say you do 2 or 3 deals a month where you're getting an average of $5,000 down, right? Yeah. You're making $15,000 income per month, and you're creating cash flow instantly by holding a note, right? So you can actually do it's like the best of both worlds, if you ask me.
I love it. Yeah, and just to mention some of the resources, batchleads.io. Use TTP code $1. You get 500 free texts. Definitely check it out. You use it. I use it. Pace Morby uses it. Jameel Damji uses it. The top people around the country use batchleads.io code TTP. So phenomenal. So let's pull it back. Right. Let's talk about the first. Can you remember your first wholesale deal? Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the motivation of the seller was?
So it's funny that I got into wholesaling. I was somebody's acquisition manager.
Okay.
The investor was from Arizona, from Phoenix.
Yeah.
And he was he wanted to wholesale in Michigan, right?
Okay.
So this is when I'm still a realtor, and someone said, "Hey, you should have Jory be your acquisition manager because he finds deals for us as investors all the time." So I actually partnered with this guy. He was paying like 10% of the actual assignment fee to go out there and wholesale. So the first deal we got, this guy just wanted to move to northern Michigan. Yeah. Right? And it's a crazy deal because his requirement was he wanted $15,000 and an RV.
Yes.
And an RV. Like that's like he had to have an RV.
Okay.
Right? So I think
that's hey, listen, that's what he wanted. You can make something.
Because he wanted to live in an RV, right?
Yeah.
So we locked the deal up because I knew I could sell this house for probably like $30,000. Right?
Okay.
So the deal was locked up. The issue was finding an RV.
Right.
So we had to go find an RV, buy an RV. I had to go pick this RV up, drive this RV to his house, and he lived on like one of these little alleyway houses. Right? So I'm driving this RV, the street's like this big, down to his house, give him the keys. Like we close in the house, give him the keys. Like next day, he packs the RV up, leaves. We wholesaled that house for $30,000, so we made a $15,000 spread on my first deal.
$15,000.
On the first deal we did.
How much you pay? Wait a second. He wanted 15,
and we got the RV for $3,500.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So 50. Ring that victory bell.
Yeah, so that was the first deal, and then it just became easy. You know, wholesaling. The key to wholesaling is consistency.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
You have to have a marketing plan. You have to hit that plan consistently. Like that, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Just hit the plan, hit the leads, get the numbers in, right?
Yeah, we talk about it. It comes down to 3 parts, right? Lead generation, conversion, exit strategy, right?
Yeah.
Disposition. And you're just talking about in this podcast, that's why I thought it was so valuable to have you in here, which has been great, is there's different exit strategies that you can have. And don't just throw away every lead because they don't have equity or they don't want to sell at the price that you want them to sell. There can be motivation there. You can still solve the problems of the sellers if you can get creative. And it just takes a little bit of change in your brain from cash only to doing these creative things. And we're starting to do it in my business. I just, my fear, honestly, and maybe you can help me get past this, but my fear is if my acquisition managers know other options, everything's going to turn into those other options, as opposed to, I mean, we average $27,000 a deal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, these are nice deals we do, you know, and it just rolls and rolls, but I am certain that there's opportunities that we're missing out every single week, for sure.
Well, because think about it this way too, right? I also wholesale notes, right? So not just wholesale to a cash buyer, but I can get a deal locked up, right? That doesn't make sense for a wholesale deal,
Right.
But I can sell it to an end land contract tenant buyer,
Yep.
right? Create that note,
Yep.
and then go find a note buyer, because there's note buyers out there, right?
Of course.
And I'll wholesale that deal to a note buyer who will pay me the assignment fee plus I keep the down payment. So like, you know, there's multiple options where if you look at these deals and you know maybe have one guy who does creative, right?
Yep.
He comes in on your team, he does the creative stuff, right? Because it is a skill that, you know, it's hard to teach. It's hard to duplicate.
Yeah.
You know what I do.
Yeah.
Even in my company, the guys with me every day still don't know how to do all the terms and stuff the way we do it, right?
Sure.
But maybe if you have one person who's like, hey, you're like the creative guy.
Yeah, I'll just send
Like,
them
go
to you in
find a
Miami for a couple of weeks.
You got to pay.
Not during football season, yeah. Not during football, yeah. We got
No, from like now to
Yeah,
November,
yeah.
don't
You're
send
done.
them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, how do people get a hold of you? I mean, people are going to hear this. They're going to, you know, resonate with you. How do they get a hold of you?
So Instagram, it's the Alston Group. So the
Spell Alston.
AULSTON Group.
Okay.
Then on Facebook, Jory Alston. We have a Facebook group, Shut Up and Invest, that we talk a lot about this kind of stuff in our group. We have a YouTube channel, Shut Up and Invest too. And then our podcast is on all the audio platforms and on YouTube.
Awesome.
So.
And then give some advice to somebody just brand new. They've never done a deal, whether it be creative, whether it be wholesaling. What advice would you give them to just start?
So sign up for batch leads.
Yeah, yeah, for
right?
sure.
Really,
Yeah.
get a list.
Yeah.
Right? Get a list, get a good list. Don't don't pay for a huge list that's gonna, cost you $500, $1,000 to skip trace,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Go after those tire landlords, right? If
Yeah.
you get that list, text that list.
You can pull it right from batch
right from
leads
batches
now.
right in there,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Be consistent. But I see a lot of people who get discouraged. Just like, oh, I haven't got a deal yet. And it's like a month. Like, you know how long it takes us to get this machine going to get deals, right? So don't expect to get a deal right away. Right?
Yeah.
You might. Like, I got a deal the first week I did it, right?
Yeah.
But you might not. But don't be discouraged. Just keep working the plan, and the deals will come. Right?
Yeah.
There are so many deals out there right now.
Yeah.
Right. So many deals. We've done more deals during the last coronavirus pandemic. We doubled our income during this pandemic,
Same with
right?
us.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the deals are there. Just be consistent, right? And believe in yourself.
Awesome.
You can do it.
Yeah. And what I would say is, I think it's really important to understand that if you can understand that you can get energy and enthusiasm and you can get a lot of positivity out of the process, not necessarily just the check, then you're unstoppable, right? If it energizes you, if it keeps you going, if it just, you get excited, now you're that excitement like bounces all around and now everybody's getting excited, and then really special things happen, and it had nothing to do with the end result, had to do with the process of getting to that.
I love the process. It's it's like a game, a sport, a competition. This is really a competition to me. I love the whole process. I lose some, you win some, right? But I love just doing all the steps.
Yep.
And I think that's what happens. Some people don't they just want the money.
Yep.
And if you're in this business, it's way more than about the money.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally, we're solving people's problems. I had a text last week from a lady that we bought her house. She literally was, and her text was just like, "Thank you so much. You don't know how much of a help you were to me." That's what we're doing. Like we're solving complex problems, and we're dealing with people.
Yep.
Right? It's not the house or the price. We're dealing with people, right?
Yep.
So you gotta love people and love problems and solving them. And if you don't, hire someone who does.
Yep.
Because if you don't like doing that, you're not going to succeed in this business.
That's it.
You know?
That's it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you for being on there.
Awesome, man.
Everybody out there listening, thank you so much. If your mind is racing right now, definitely check out Shut Up and Invest.
Shut Up and Invest.
Shut Up and Invest. Check that out on the podcast and all the groups and everything. Join that. And if you're interested in joining the most proactive group in real estate investing, it is the TTP family. It is the TTP program. Go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. That's wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Scroll down, check it out. If it feels good in your gut, sign up for a call. I look forward to working with you personally. Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah,
From
awesome.
Miami to Phoenix,
Yes,
here we
yes.
go. And to everybody out there, I encourage you always to talk to people. See ya. Love you.